In this video, I'm going to show you how to make tubes and straps. I'm using a rectangular piece of fabric, and I'm going to show you 4 of my favorite ways to turn a tube, including using a safety pin, a loop turner, a set of tube turners, and a ribbon. The first step to creating any tube or strap is to sew the tube. So you're going to fold your rectangle in half, right sides together, and sew down. So I'm going to take this to my machine and do that now. With most tubes, you're going to want to cut down your seam allowance. So I'm going to take a minute and just cut mine down to about 1/4 of an inch, give or take. To use a safety pin, you're going to just take some of the fabric like this. Now you want to make sure that you get enough of the fabric. You don't want to just get this edge here, because as you pull, you'll be able to rip those threads and your safety pin will come loose inside the tube. So I like to come much further down and grab some of my fabric, and I'm only getting one side there. You can see that. Close the safety pin, slide it inside, and start moving it through the tube here. And you're just going to wiggle the fabric around as you go. And there you go. So that's a 1/2 inch strap right there. Super quick to put together using a safety pin. So the pros and cons of using a safety pin: the pro is that you likely have one laying around, so it's a free tool. The con is that you're limited to the size of tube you can make. Your safety pin has to be able to fit through. So you can get smaller safety pins, however, you're limited. So this is a 1/2 inch tube, and that's about the smallest I can get with this size safety pin. The next way that you can turn a tube or a strap is to use a loop turner. So this is a wire tool that has a pull on the bottom and then a little hook and a catch right here. This is really great for doing really small, slim tubes, but you can use it for various sizes of straps and tubes. So to use this loop turner, I'm going to set the turner into the strap like this, pull it to the end, and I'm going to grab the fabric there. So you can see here, make sure this catch is open, slide your fabric into that hook there, and make sure that's pushed up. So that's going to, right there, catch your fabric and hold it in place as you pull through. So now I can pull this bottom loop here, and just like the safety pin, I'm working the fabric through, and once you get it going, you can just pull it right out like that. And this is great for very, very skinny tubes. I would give this a good press, and then it is all set to set into my garment. The next way I'm going to show you to turn a tube is to use a set of tube turners. This set usually comes together with 3 different sizes, a large, medium, and a small, and you use the 2 working parts to turn your tube. So there are some differences. You need to prepare your fabric tube. I am doing a 3/4 of an inch tube for this one, just because I find using the medium or the large of this set is a little easier. It does come with this smaller set. However, I find that this one is a little bit tricky, so I usually use an alternative method like that loop turner to turn a smaller tube. But I really like this medium and large size. So here's my tube here. Another difference is that when you're sewing, you need to close off an edge here. So you can see I have this sewn here to close off this tube. Once you get it turned, then you can cut this off and use it however, or just set it in. So to use this, you're going to start by setting your tube inside your fabric tube, just like this, till it gets to the end. And this is why we need that stopper there. And you take your stick, and one of them will have a rounded edge, so that's the one you're going to press in to your fabric like that. And you're just going to press until the fabric comes out like that. So once you get it out, you can slide the tube off and take the stick out. And you can see you have a nice, really quick, easy way to open this tube. And again, I could cut this off or leave this as is. But this is a really great set to have, especially for those larger tubes. So I like it for slightly larger than 1/2 inch straps or tubes. All right, the final way I'm going to show you to turn a tube is to actually use a small piece of ribbon or thick thread. So you want to cut a piece of ribbon or thread longer than your strap, and you want to tie a knot on one end. We're then going to take this to our sewing machine. Okay, to do this one, I'm actually going to start by setting my ribbon into the top here like that, into one part of my strap. And you want to make sure it doesn't pull down like that. So I'm setting it in the middle, folding it in half, and I'm actually going to sew the ribbon in place. All right, so you can see here I have that ribbon secure in that stitching. So now I can sew my strap down like I would. And I'm doing a 1/2 inch strap, so I'm paying attention to that line on my machine. I'm going to fold the ribbon into the strap center as I sew. And you want to make sure that your ribbon never gets caught in the stitching there. So keep it to the side, just like that. So again, what's important for this method is that the ribbon is secure at the top and it doesn't get caught in the stitches at all as you sew. I really like this method because you can get a really slim tube with using a ribbon or a like heavy duty thread like jean thread or anything like that. I'm going to take a moment now to cut down my seam allowance. Again, taking the seam allowance out of your tube is really helpful just to turn it. There's less bulk to get caught in the tube. All right, so now that I have my tube sewn with the ribbon in there and it can move, I'm going to start manipulating this fabric here over the knot while pulling the ribbon. And it's a little tricky to get started, but once you get started, you can just pull until your ribbon comes out the other end. And the reason we did that knot at the beginning is that makes a really secure way for this to pull. You can pull really tight to get those long tubes there. Once you're done, you can just cut off the ribbon. So that knot is going to stay inside your tube there. However, if you don't want that to be the case and you're, say, making straps, you're just going to cut your rectangle 1 inch or 2 longer than you need it. And once you're done, you can just cut that off and get any of your ribbon out of there and you are all set. So those are 4 ways to turn a tube. Again, you can use a piece of ribbon, you can use a tube turning set, a loop turner, or a safety pin. For more tips and tricks, please like and subscribe.